The basement smelled of damp plaster and dried lilacs. Nurse Clara Hensley set down her flashlight. On the night of the 14th of March, 1963, at the Blackmoor Sanatorium in Surrey, England, a night shift orderly named Thomas Webb reported hearing piano music on a floor with no piano, in a wing with no electricity. He noted the melody in his logbook as a lullaby, soft, like someone rocking a child to sleep. He could not explain why the song was still echoing through the corridors 37 years after the last patient had died. The Blackmoor Sanatorium opened in 1892 as a private retreat for tuberculosis patients from London's upper class. By 1960, the building had been converted into a chronic care facility for patients with long-term mental illness. It closed permanently in 1966 and sat empty for decades, its Georgian windows boarded, its gardens swallowed by ivy. Local residents reported hearing music from the grounds as early as 1968, 2 years after the final staff departed. The piano in question, a 1907 Steinway Model B, had been listed on the original inventory as having been sold at auction in 1967. No auction record, however, could be found. In 2009, paranormal researcher Dr. Elena Marsh obtained permission to survey the building before its planned demolition. Marsh brought a thermal camera, an EMF detector, and a portable audio recorder. On her third night inside, her recorder captured 43 seconds of unprompted piano music on the second floor, the same melody Thomas Webb had described 46 years earlier. The temperature in that room measured 47 degrees Fahrenheit, 11 degrees colder than the adjacent hallway. When Marsh played the recording back through her headphones, she noted that the melody matched a Victorian lullaby called Hush, Little Baby, published in 1872 by a London music hall composer named William Barker. No one on her team played piano. No instrument existed in that wing. Further investigation revealed something the demolition team had missed. Behind a false wall in the second-floor hallway, hidden beneath 3 layers of plaster and horsehair wallpaper, workers uncovered a small room measuring 8 feet by 6 feet. Inside lay a single iron-frame cot, a porcelain wash basin, and a child's shoe size 3. Leather, circa 1920s. The Steinway piano was not in the room, but the floorboards bore circular indentations consistent with piano leg placements, arranged in a pattern matching a standard upright piano footprint. Someone had removed the instrument deliberately, then sealed the room. Dr. Marsh requested a carbon dating of the horsehair wallpaper. The results placed the innermost layer at approximately 1924, the same year the sanatorium's patient registry recorded the death of a 7-year-old girl named Edith Thorne, listed cause: complications from tuberculosis. The Blackmoor patient files, stored at the Surrey County Archives, contained a handwritten nursing note dated the 3rd of October 1924. The note, signed by head nurse Agnes Whitfield, read, "Edith Thorne slept poorly, requested music. Brought piano from the east wing into a room at 8 p.m. Patient fell asleep at 8:47 to the tune of Hush Little Baby. Patient expired at 11:15 p.m. No pain reported." A separate inventory sheet from 1925 showed that one upright piano had been removed and disposed of, not sold. No reason was documented. The file for Edith Thorne included a small photograph. A pale girl with dark eyes, seated at an upright piano, her small hands resting on the keys. She was smiling. Audio analyst Marcus Webb, no relation to the 1963, orderly examined the 2009 recording using spectrographic software. The piano notes displayed an unusual harmonic structure. The dominant frequency of each note showed a secondary peak at exactly 60 Hz, the electrical mains frequency in the United Kingdom. Yet the sanatorium had no power supply in 2009. The building's last connection to the national grid had been severed in 1967. Marcus ran the recording through 3 different noise reduction algorithms. The secondary frequency persisted. He noted in his report, "The audio signature is consistent with electromagnetic interference, but the source of that interference is not present in the recording environment." Skeptics proposed several explanations. Architectural acoustician Dr. Paul Hartley suggested that wind passing through broken windows could produce tones resembling piano notes when channeled through the building's hollow ventilation shafts. He demonstrated this theory by recording similar sounds in an empty warehouse in Kent. Dr. Hartley acknowledged, however, that his recordings did not match the specific melody of Hush Little Baby with any consistency. Another theory involved pareidolia, the human tendency to perceive meaningful patterns in random sounds. Researcher Jessica Cole pointed out that Thomas Webb in 1963 and Elena Marsh in 2009 had both described the same melody independently, which she called a striking coincidence. When pressed, she could not explain why both individuals had identified the same song, specifically out of thousands of possible lullabies. Three details were largely overlooked in subsequent reporting. First, the 1924 nursing note described the piano as being moved into Edith Thorne's room at 8 p.m. The sanatorium's policy prohibited musical instruments in patient quarters after 7 p.m. due to noise concerns. No exception was recorded in the duty log before that date. Second, the child's shoe found behind the false wall was missing its pair. The matching shoe was later discovered in the sanatorium's groundskeeper shed, wrapped in a piece of 1924 newspaper dated one day after Edith's death. Third, and most puzzling, the Steinway piano listed on the 1907 inventory was documented as having been tuned in September 1924 by a technician named Arthur Finch. Finch's tuning log noted that the piano had been recently moved and requires recalibration of the bass strings. No other tuning records for that instrument exist before or after that date. A competing interpretation emerged from folklorist Dr. Irene Chang. She proposed that the piano music was not a haunting in the supernatural sense, but rather a form of sonic preservation, an acoustic echo trapped in the building's structure by the specific arrangement of its walls and floors. Chang cited research from the University of Salford demonstrating that certain building materials can retain vibrational patterns for decades. In her 2012 paper, she theorized that Edith Thorne's nightly lullaby, played on the same piano, in the same small room, for approximately 3 weeks before her death, may have left a measurable imprint on the physical structure itself. The room had been sealed in 1925. It had never been exposed to external sound. When the demolition crew breached the wall, in 2009, they effectively played back that imprint for the first time in 84 years. The Blackmoor Sanatorium was demolished in 2011. The site now hosts a residential development called Blackmoor Gardens. Residents began reporting piano music again in 2018, 7 years after demolition, with no buildings or instruments on the property. The Surrey Paranormal Research Group recorded 31 instances of unexplained music between 2018 and 2023. None have been explained. The Steinway piano from the original inventory was never found. Dr. Elena Marsh, now 73, still possesses the original 2009 recording. She has never published her full analysis. When asked why, she replied, "Some sounds are not meant to be explained. They are meant to be heard." Next episode tease. Next week on Phantom Atlas, the lighthouse on Rockenkopf Island that transmitted a distress signal 17 years after its last keeper vanished, and the voice on the recording that researchers say should not have existed. Stay in the dark.